Trepanation. Trepanation involved drilling or cutting a hole into the skull. Medieval practitioners believed it could relieve pressure, severe headaches, or the effects of head injuries. Archaeological skulls show signs of healing, suggesting that some patients survived long after the procedure. Honey treatment. Honey was widely used in medieval wound care. While its antibacterial properties were not understood scientifically, honey-based dressings were applied to cuts, ulcers, and surgical wounds to help reduce infection. Barber surgeons. In many medieval towns, medical care was often handled by barber surgeons. The same person who cut your hair also performed bloodletting, extracted teeth, and treated wounds. This shows the practical, hands-on nature of early healthcare. Frequent soap. Medieval people are often assumed to have avoided washing altogether. In reality, by the later Middle Ages, soap production was well established in parts of Europe. Soap was commonly made from animal fat or olive oil, and was often scented with herbs like lavender. Washing hands and face was a regular part of daily hygiene. Uroscopy. In medieval times, it was known that doctors closely examined urine, comparing colour, smell, and clarity using illustrated charts known as urine wheels. In some cases, tasting urine was used to identify abnormalities. Almond milk. Almond milk is often associated with modern diets. In medieval Europe, it was a common substitute for animal milk, especially during religious fasts. It was consumed frequently and used across different social classes. Hidden messages. Invisible ink is usually linked to modern espionage. Medieval writers sometimes used milk or other organic liquids to write hidden messages. When heated, the writing became visible. There are surviving examples of this in some manuscripts. Armor mobility. Plate armor is commonly imagined as heavy and restrictive. When properly fitted, it allowed significant movement. Contemporary accounts and combat manuals suggest armored knights could run, climb, and mount horses without assistance. Armor price. A full suit of high-quality plate armor was extremely costly. Records suggest it could equal several years of income for a skilled worker, making it a major investment reserved for the wealthy. Buttons. Buttons seem like an ordinary clothing feature today. In the medieval period, they were luxury items. Decorative buttons made from metal or precious materials were worn by elites, while most people relied on ties or pins. Vibrant clothing. Medieval life is often imagined as dull and colourless. Manuscripts and surviving textiles show the opposite. Natural dyes produce vivid reds, blues, and yellows, for example, and brightly coloured clothing was common across many social groups. Violent football. People may think that medieval football could be relatively harmless, but these versions were frequently chaotic and violent. Several English kings attempted to ban the game due to injuries, property damage, and its interference with military training. Segmented sleep. Sleep in the medieval period did not always follow a single uninterrupted block. Many people practiced what historians describe as segmented or biphasic sleep, waking for a period during the night before returning to a second sleep. In this period, people could be using this time for prayer, quiet work, or conversation. Tooth cleaning. Medieval people did not have modern toothbrushes, but dental hygiene was not ignored. Teeth were commonly cleaned using chew sticks made from wood like hazel or willow, while linen or wool cloths were rubbed against teeth to remove residue and freshen the mouth. Mandatory archery. By the mid-13th century, English law required able-bodied men to train with a longbow. Statutes issued from 1252 onwards mandated that men between roughly 15 and 60 practice archery. The training was often on Sundays to maintain readiness for military service. No surnames. Family surnames are often assumed to have existed throughout the Middle Ages. In Britain, they became widespread only after the Norman conquest and took nearly 2 centuries to become standard. Early surnames were often descriptive, based on occupation, location, or parentage. Left-hand suspicion. Left-handedness carried strong negative associations in medieval Europe. The Latin word sinister originally meant left, and cultural beliefs linked left-handedness with bad fortune or moral suspicion. In some cases, children were forcibly trained to use their right hand instead. Peasants' time off. Peasant life is often imagined as constant, unbroken labour, but many peasants observe numerous church holidays and festivals. Depending on region and season, some may have had between 150 and 200 days each year when regular field work was limited or suspended. Zodiac Man. In the medieval world, surgery was often guided by the stars. Practitioners used the Zodiac Man to map astrological signs to specific body parts. It was believed that the moon's position influenced bodily fluids, making it dangerous to operate on a limb if the moon was in its corresponding sign. Before any incision, doctors consulted lunar calendars to ensure the heavens were aligned. Judicial duels. In cases where legal evidence was insufficient, the court could offer a judicial duel to settle a dispute. It was believed that God would intervene to grant victory to the rightful party, making the fight a divine verdict. These were highly regulated events, often fought to the death or until one party yielded, effectively ending the legal case. That's all for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.